Welcome back. Now, the Department of Science and Innovation will host the Group on Earth Observations Week and Ministerial Summit in Cape Town until Friday. The GEO Summit is held under the theme, The Earth Talks. So let's cross over to Simphiwe Ncongwane, who's at the Cape Town International Convention Centre for more. So we're all looking forward to hear what this is about and what we can expect. Simphiwe, good morning.
Very good morning to you, Sakina. Thank you so much for joining us, and good morning to our viewers. We're coming to you live from the Cape Town International Convention Centre, where South Africa is hosting the Group on Earth Observation Ministerial Summit. Now, this summit, Group on Earth Ministerial Summit, is actually a global platform that connects governments, that connects data scientists, observers, scientists, and engineers, to come up with innovative solutions that seek to address and tackle global challenges. Now, South Africa has been a very active member since 2005 and has been very instrumental in coming up with sustainable development solutions, and has been very key in ensuring that South Africa, or rather Africa, is equally represented in GEO. So the theme, as you mentioned, Sakina, this year is Earth Talks, which has been triggered by the environmental challenges that have been affecting our globe. And the past few days has seen very interesting flash talks by local and international researchers, as it were. And we've seen the likes of Ndilizo Didiza of Hotatso Innovations, who made a presentation on the satellite-based techniques that seek to identify regions that that haven't been submerged in subsidence. We've also seen Jasper Slingsby from the University of Cape Town, who made a presentation on biodiversity, which is NASA's first ever technological platform that seeks to ensure that each and every ecosystem in the world, subscribes to all the precepts of the biodiversity. And of course, we're now joined by the Deputy Director General of the Science and Innovation, looking into the socio-economic innovation, Dr. Mboneni Mope. A very good morning to you, DDG. Thank you so much for joining us. Just take us through today's conference. What are we likely to see and expect?
So good morning, and I want to greet all the viewers as well. Today we start with a plenary, which is where we're going to be reflecting on the progress we have made over the years, starting from really what happened in the previous ministerial in Canberra, Australia, 4 years ago, and then building on what we have done this year, and then beginning to look into the future. Because I think, as you might be aware, it is necessary for us to begin to think and plan about the future now. So that's basically what we are doing, as we are going to be launching our new strategy that is going to stretch from 2025 up until 2035. And then also, of course, to seek our ministers to endorse the declaration that commits us to look at how we can continue to work together to make sure that Earth observations can indeed be used to save lives, to save property, and also to safeguard our food security and also our settlements.
Now, DTG, we know that, organizations as yours have been very instrumental in terms of data sharing, collating and collecting all the data in terms of, observation of the Earth and the environmental impacts and the damages that we've seen over the past years. But such data, am I correct to say that hasn't been accessible to the larger demographic? And even if it has, but it's in a language that people clearly cannot understand because it's elitist and it's too technical. How do you remedy that?
I think the remedy is basically us coming together here and beginning to use the latest in terms of scientific approaches. Now we talk about the role of artificial intelligence. So you are able to integrate data and information from various sources and then begin to communicate to it. I mean, we have seen it in South Africa that, for example, before there is flooding and fires, we have our very own weather services providing these alerts. All those are based on Earth observation data. And again, the issue about availability of information is also the question of how do we react. So if we are told to evacuate a particular area, do we indeed evacuate or do we get attached to what we have? So I can't leave my house and I can't leave my property. So then you stay there and ultimately damage strike. And we have seen that happening with tsunamis and hurricanes globally. So the issue is, yes, the information needs to be coordinated, and I agree that we need to do so in a manner that the information is digestible and understood. And that's why we are bringing in various aspects. And this year, we are going to hear about the new approach that we call Earth Intelligence, which means you're bringing it into a language that people can understand. You're bringing the social aspect to it and merging it with the engineering and the scientific aspect. So that's really the approach that we want to take from this year onwards.
It seems like you are sharing a reactionary approach, but what you want to see here is a proactive approach. You did mention that you are trying to bring these approaches in a language that people understand, but is it really filtering down to the larger demographic, the people who are in the far-flung areas? Because those people are the key stakeholders in terms of observing observing the earth and observing how the earth needs to be protected.
Yeah. So what you're going to see today here as well, and just to demonstrate that it's not just a matter of being reactionary, you will meet some of our young entrepreneurs who we have been grooming, who are actually engaged and deeply embedded in communities. They are working with communities in terms of doing what we call citizen science. So from wherever people stay, they can be observing how the earth is talking. That's the theme of this conference, the Earth Talks. So it is talking through the biodiversity, the plants and the animals that are complaining, and sometimes we don't listen. The river flows, the drying of the rivers, the dirtiness of the river. So we have got a lot of people who are working with our citizens to say, identify and send us data and information, because that information, when you interpret it, we can be able to tell you that in a couple of years' time, we actually might not be without water, or in a couple of years' time, we might be sitting with an area that is so biodegraded that you cannot grow anything on the soil. Right. So that is really proactive approach that we are trying to take.
We are on time, unfortunately, DDG, but just briefly, since South Africa is hosting this summit for the second time, is Africa ready? Does Africa have the necessary systems to ensure that all these environmental talks and systems are in place?
And I think that is really the core of what GEO is. It is about saying, those who might not have, like many African countries and many Asian countries, that the countries that have, in this case, South Africa leads in terms of the infrastructure and capabilities. How do we make sure that we share the information? So you have seen how we intervene when, for example, there is flooding in Mozambique and so on, Zimbabwe. We are able to share that information for those who have, so that we don't leave anybody behind.
All right, Dr. Mope, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That was the DDG in the Department of Science and Innovation, Dr. Mboneni Mope, just talking to us and giving us a background into the GEO Summit that's taking place from yesterday up until this Friday. So it'll see various talks being delivered by the different experts in the department, and as well as other organizations confined to looking into the protection of the environment. And at around 8:30, we'll be talking to some of the youth leaders and as well as the experts and the exhibitionists here at the Cape Town International Convention Centre, just to get their view on what their role is and what they are doing to protect the environment. But for now, it's back to you in Johannesburg.
Well, thank you so much, Simphiwe. Absolutely fascinating. And, if there's one thing that for me personally, I have great pride in, it's our scientists in this country, the work they do, the CSIR and other entities. Absolutely fabulous and fascinating. And looking forward to hearing more from Simphiwe at GEO Summit later on in the show.